Well, hello there. I'm Adam, and today I'm going to bring you the shocking truth about doctors that your GP will not tell you about. Now, during my professional career, and I was in the health service for 13 years of that, I can tell you that the health service do some pretty good stuff, especially in the acute medicine sector. But when it comes to treating long-term illness, there is a sad lack of insight in a lot of things, and there's a lot that doesn't get explained to people. So I'm going to bring you some hard truths today based on my experience of working on the other side of the medical profession. And here's the things that people wish they'd known, especially when things go wrong. The problem is that most people don't question doctors until things go wrong, and then they get angry that they didn't question doctors. So I'm going to bring some facts, some hard-hitting facts to you today, folks, to help you to navigate this journey. Now, the odds are if you're watching this, you've had a bad experience with doctors, which is why you're listening to what I've got to say. Unfortunately, that is a time where it's generally too late because the damage has been done, but nonetheless, it will stop further damage getting done. And if by any chance the doctors have done you no wrong and you're watching this video, then consider yourself lucky. And I would also consider that you're probably the minority of people watching this. So, first and foremost, let's just start with what do doctors do? Doctors are predominantly sponsored by the pharmaceutical industry. Now, there's a whole big conversation and debate around pharmaceuticals and how valuable they are within the healthcare system. Now, there's certainly when it comes to things like analgesia and painkillers, if you have acute things go wrong with you, if you've got acute pain, then the health system's brilliant. This video is really geared at long-term treatment of illness and the side effects that you might come across when you move down there. So many people I used to look after that had bigger problems based on the medications that they took because they weren't fully informed and they just did what the doctor told them. Now, the first thing, in fairness to doctors, to your GP, when you go in there, they get 15 minutes to sort your life out. Now, it's very difficult to get to the root cause of a problem in 15 minutes. And they are aware of something called the placebo effect, which means that they could pretty much give you a smartie. And if you trust them enough, then you'll make yourself better with your mind. And it won't matter. The fact that you're taking something makes you think that something's going to happen that's good for you. Now, I'm going to argue with you today that the placebo effect is massive. And getting someone to put you in a more positive state of mind is a bigger thing than the drug that you take. Controversial point number one, folks. Well, prepare yourself, strap yourself in for a whole host of controversy on this call because I've been down this rabbit hole, folks. And right at the very root of it, and this is the part that's the most important, is that nobody knows your body like you do. If you pick up the Drug Bible or the British National Formulary over in the UK, it has every drug in it and it has every possible side effect. And if you read through the amount of potential side effects for each drug, it would scare the hell out of you. And I would want it to scare the hell out of you because different people react differently to each drug. But the one thing that is consistent in sort of healing and your medical treatment is your state of mind. What you believe, you're far more likely to achieve. If you think you're going to die, the odds are you're going to die. If you think you're going to get better, then the odds are you're going to get better. Now, that doesn't guarantee that you will, especially when doctors tell you that you won't. But one thing is for certain. There's a whole wealth of research out there, folks. I studied the anomalies, people that defied medical advice. And there is a whole host of research out there of people that did not listen to their doctor and told themselves, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to beat this. I'm going to do something about it. And that was the belief that was prevalent in every single case that I found where people defied what doctors believed. The problem is if the doctor tells you something and you believe it, and then you lose hope and you think this is all doom and gloom and it's only going one way, then it will go one way. So these are a few things to get your head around, and different drugs have different side effects. I'll bring this to life to you. I used to see a lot of elderly patients in my time in the care system that come in, they had been taking certain medications. They'd fall over, they'd hurt themselves, they'd be given things like ibuprofen or diclofenac. These are a group of drugs called non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. And one of the side effects of these is that you need to eat them on a full stomach. Because if you don't, they can burn into your gastric system and cause gastric ulcers. So many people would be put on these long term and forget this somewhere down the line. And somewhere down the line, they would get themselves a gastric ulcer that would cause internal bleeding. And that was the start of a whole host of other things that used to go wrong with people. And when that happened, quite often people would die at the end of it. So these are real things that you need to bear in mind, folks. And I don't really want to be the bearer of doom or bad news. And I don't want to be the person that's like saying, oh, don't trust any pharmaceutical ever again. I'm not a fan of the pharmaceutical industry, but in certain areas, they're very, very good. Acute pain, acute medicine, different level. These are different conversations. And what I'm telling you now is specifically more for long-term treatment and illness. So here's something that you should know. The placebo effect is about 30%, which means if I put on a white coat and go around telling everyone I'm a doctor and handing them a pill for everything that they've got wrong, could be any illness, hand them Smarties, say this will help you. 30% of the people I give those pills to, statistically, and depending how convincing I am, it affects the percentage. 30% will get better because they believe that they're going to get better. This is the placebo effect, folks. And this is significant, 30%, because they believed it. Took stuff that was not designed to heal them and healed anyway because they believed that they were going to get better. The placebo effect is massive, folks. It is so huge. And why am I telling you about the placebo effect? Because nobody knows their body like you. Nobody knows their mind like you. And it's not until you've been written off by the medical system that you find out who you are and whether you believe in yourself and whether it's worth you staying alive. That's effectively what it comes down to, folks. Your reason for living. How much do you want to live? Because let's face it, most of us know what we could do to be healthier or increase our well-being, but we're just not motivated to do it. So here's an example. I've seen people that have been lifelong smokers give up instantly, after the years of, oh, I can't give up, I can't give up, I can't give up. I've seen them give up instantly when they were told they had cancer because they wanted to live. They suddenly decided, that's it, I want to live. And I've seen just as many people think, oh, well, if I'm going to die, I might as well do it doing things that I like to do, and kept smoking. So that's the power of this, folks. Some people, they don't mind dying or they're not as scared as death. But the people that are, that get a real jolt, a fright, a near-death experience, it could be a car crash, could be something where your life ending becomes a reality in that moment. That will inspire change or not. Doctors are there to do a job. And here's something you should also know. Now, I haven't checked this in other countries, but I can tell you for a fact in the UK. In the UK, sickness and absenteeism amongst doctors and medical staff is higher than the corporate sector and has been since records begun. I want that to sink in for you, folks. Why is it that the doctors are the ones that's always smoking? The doctors and nurses are the ones smoking all the cigarettes and drinking all the time. And I will say that doctors and nurses parties are legendary, folks, because I've been to plenty of them. And that was a significantly good part of my memories of my time in the NHS. But the point being that quite often medical staff have the most unhealthy habits because they know the risks, but they do it anyway. So bear that in mind, folks. The people that are looking after your well-being care less for their own, statistically speaking. That's worth bearing in mind as well. And the bottom line is that there is no substitute for you taking an empowered approach about your own health and well-being. And I'm not telling you not to listen to medical care. What I am telling you to do is that your state of mind, the way that you feel about yourself and the way that you respond to any illness or setbacks is a much bigger part of the jigsaw than what drugs you're going to get. You taking an empowered approach, you taking positive action, you looking after yourself better is going to be much better than believing a healthcare professional that probably isn't even looking after their own health and well-being that particularly well. So many people fall out of love with doctors when things start to go wrong, but it's not their fault, folks. They're just doing what they can with the tools they've been given. And nobody can change your life in 15 minutes unless they're very, very good at what they do. Very good. Or that there's sufficient leverage or motivation. Because I can tell you for certain, I've managed to change people's life in 15 minutes, but usually they were facing death or something pending, imminent was happening, where they had to take their life seriously or die. Usually you need that level of motivation to get people through this. So the bottom line is, folks, don't ever fully believe what a doctor tells you, because here's another thing. Because in the UK, the litigation culture of the US followed over here many years ago, doctors are not allowed to give you too much hope. Because if a doctor says to you, there's a chance you could get better and you don't, then the odds are the family will sue the hospital. So doctors are trained not to give that degree of hope for the fear of litigation. So there you go, the irony of it, folks, that your family, the ones that love you, the ones that would sue the hospital, are the ones that rein in the doctors from giving you a positive diagnosis or a little bit more hope. They're trained to give you the worst case scenario or to side with the worst case scenario. Bear that in mind, folks. This is very statistically relevant. If you're ever in that situation, if you're ever with a loved one that's facing a grim diagnosis, know that there's usually more hope. And for that litigation reason, I'm going to tell you, because I have to legally, that this is not medical advice. This is simply my opinion based on quite a lot of insight and quite a lot of working with people and quite a lot of dealing with people in vulnerable positions. But nonetheless, never listen to just one person. Always get a second opinion. And the most important opinion of all is the one that you have about your chances in your mind. And don't let anyone change that if they're trying to take you into a negative place. If things might look grim, but you have control, you have the power, and what you think is the most important thing of all. So bear that in mind whenever you're listening to doctors, whenever you're dealing with any serious medical illness, and whenever things are looking grim, folks. The only way that there's hope is if you believe that there is. And on that lovely little note, folks, on this more serious video than I usually throw out there, but nonetheless, these things are important. I'm going to put this stuff out there. And if you would like more of my little insights or updates into well-being, into life, things that can raise your vibration and help you to feel better, then please like this video, folks, because it helps me and it helps the algorithm. Please show your appreciation by doing that. And if you subscribe to the channel just there, that would be very appreciated and helpful to me. And if you want more content, more of my random ramblings, then there's a video for you there. Cheers, folks. Look after yourself and stay positive.